Hi there. So I started to start doing these sort of like Monday morning podcasts. I do news shows for Security Weekly all the time, and I know you've heard me say that until you're sick of it. But I thought I would just start maybe every week on Monday putting out for the cybersecurity group just some thoughts about a story to try to help. Maybe try to help you get involved in this community and start, sort of understanding how dynamic cybersecurity really is and how much back knowledge. And I'm not trying to scare you or make you nervous or anything like that. I mean, I know people always say, "Oh, Doug, you're trying to intimidate me." I'm not trying to intimidate you. I'm just literally thought we would talk about some stories to show you how you need to start, thinking about what are some resources I can use so that I kind of know what's going on. Because you'll find as you get involved in school and you get involved in work that it's really easy to sort of suddenly be that person that's sitting over in the corner, that says, "Oh, wow, I haven't looked up in 5 years." And I get sometimes people call me and say, I just got laid off, and I'm really feel like I'm out of the loop, and you don't want to be like that. So the one I picked this morning, we'll call it our morning devotional. I'm just doing it once a week, though. I'm not going to do this every day, and you probably don't want me to. Malicious attachments remain a cyber criminal threat vector favorite. So I just picked one off of Threatpost. Threatpost is a pretty good place to start looking for things, kind of like the radar page or something like that. But basically, if you want to sort of see some things that are happening, it's not a bad idea to kind of keep an eye on the news. And there are sites like the radar page, which I almost always have open up in the corner, just so if I see something change there. So. Malicious attachments. This is probably the oldest trick in the book, and it works. One of the things I've seen, and so just to remind you, if I haven't told you this, the first time I started working on, sort of like cyber thought processes was probably in about 1986 at the bank. And one of the ways we were attacking the bank was by calling people, basically getting people to click a link. And I've kind of come to the end of this road on this. I mean, literally, I have started saying that this isn't going to be stopped. And I used to feel like with training, with discussion, with awareness and all these things that we could eventually cause this to actually stop. But no. Here we are. I mean, how many years ago was that? What is that, like 40? Is that, oh wow, that's like 40 years ago? And people are still doing this. I mean, we spend amazing amounts of money on training. So here's this Verizon data breach investigation report. And they, this is a big company that does some kind of an investigation, and they collect all this information and put it all together, and they release these reports. So you could go read that report if you want to. They found that email attachment is a top malware vector that leads to data breaches. Wow. Yep, it sure is. And, the problem with that is that when people put zips, PDFs, all these things, you can embed scripts in all of these things if you didn't know that already. Different, PDFs probably have the least amount of vectors, whereas something like a doc file has a lot. Zips are notorious because you don't really, you double click that zip file to unzip it, and boom, it's got an auto execute inside of it, and then you're going to get that. But I mean, you can embed stuff in almost anything. And if you can get people to run something, basically that's when they get infected, right? Because if you're running it, so you right-click, even worse, you right-click and run it as administrator, or you run it as root, or whichever one of those you want to do, well, boom, then you become infected. And a lot of times, I'm sorry about the ads, but I mean, that's just, probably you've used the internet before. So Geico's getting a free ad with you, but, whatever. At least it's not like porn or something. That's the danger of doing these things for school, is that like, oh yeah, it wasn't Geico today. It was, although I haven't seen that. You don't get many, I don't get any porn ads on these kind of pages. But maybe I don't go to enough porn sites or something to trigger. Now that I've said porn like 6 times, probably my phone is listening and going, oh, he needs more porn ads. It'll change in a minute. But basically, all these kind of attachments just are the point where people hit you with things like TrickBot. So, 2 big words to put down on your notes for the week. TrickBot, Emotet. I will actually use, let's see here. That is the news. Let's just get a new file. Actually, we don't need a new file. We get a new file, not open a file. So 2 things to put down in your sort of, what could I learn about this week? TrickBot, Emotet. TrickBot and Emotet are both frameworks, and they are frameworks that are very twitchy. They are both obfuscated. And what that means is that they are downloaded in pieces. So there's a basic script that then reaches out to what they call a C2, which stands for Command and Control server somewhere on the internet, and downloads all these chunks of bytecode. And bytecode is basically binary. And so, imagine that you have some big long string of binary. This is not a long string, but we'll use it. And instead of downloading this string of binary, what if you downloaded it a bit at a time, just randomly, and then reassembled it? So the thing is, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to avoid detection of things by signature. So the way most of these antivirus, anti-malware, et cetera, kind of things work is that they basically look at strings and hashes, and they say, oh no. And so let's just do a really, really, really simple hash of this. We'll make a very simple one and say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. So it's just 5. So this would be like a checksum. So that would be like that. So this is the checksum of the above. And let's just say that your anti-malware, anytime it sees a 5 checksum, it goes, oh, there's a problem. And so, okay, so the way I avoid that is instead of downloading something like this, and obviously this is really oversimplified, but instead of downloading this, I just download each bit one at a time, and then I put them back in order somehow. That is what TrickBot and Emotet do. And so TrickBot and Emotet then can be used to hang malware onto those 2 frameworks. So if you download Emotet, and I know more about Emotet than I know about TrickBot, but if you download Emotet and you rebuild it, and now Emotet has become a commercial product, essentially. And so they make every effort to keep you from downloading Emotet because they want you to pay them like $25,000 to have them build it for you. But you tell them, I want to run this piece of ransomware, I want to run this tool, I want to run this tool, I want to run all these other tools, and have that give me as much information about this company as possible, and then ransomware them. So I'm going to extract all the usernames. I'm going to extract as many passwords as I can get. I'm going to upload as many files that are spreadsheets as I can get, and then I'm going to ransomware the company. And that's the kind of thing that Emotet specializes in doing. And so that's what happens when you click that link. So one of the reasons that they're talking about this, and it remains such a critical approach, is that people just click links. They do this all the time. So I got one, I think I've still got it here. I got one the other day, And basically, let me find it again. Here it is. It says, here, I'll show it to you if you can see it. It says, Doug, we found a parcel from April owed to you. Please assume ownership and schedule for delivery here. And then it's got this like, if you look, it's got it's got like an obfuscated link attached to it. And what they're trying to get me to do is click that. And I took that link and I went to Sandbox. And I went there, and guess what? It's going to try to download some malware onto my system. And because you're giving it permission, it has the right to install itself. So if you click on a link that's an Emotet link, it's going to download Emotet. It's going to execute that Emotet script right there on your system. And of course, these Emotet and TrickBot types, tools, they immediately inject themselves into your services so that every time your machine reboots, they start again and they hide so you don't know. There's not this big glaring message that says, "Welcome to Emotet." It's very hidden and sneaky, and there might be some service there with some weird name on it. It's like Microsoft banning types of file extensions. You see them here saying Outlook won't accept, and you may have tried to send somebody an email that had a zip file or something. Now, obviously, there's a dozen ways around this, and of course, the most common one is just to send people a link. So instead of sending them a file, you send them a link, and now they click the link, and the file gets downloaded that way. But you're seeing this stuff spread. Like they're mentioning TrickBot. You're seeing this stuff spread in many, many different ways, but all of it essentially involves getting you to click on one of those links. So what to do? It's a tough one. This stuff is very targeted at you, and if you get an email this afternoon that says COVID-19 spreading rapidly at Roger Williams University. President says school is closed. Would you click that link? Especially if you look at the source address and it says, I can't remember the president's name. Roy Nerschel is the last president whose name I can remember. President Nerschel sent, and of course you might get one like that too, and it's like it says President Roy Nerschel, and you're going, I think he died. In fact, I know he died, but. You think about that and you go, wow, that's like, oh no, is school closed? Do I have class tonight? Do I need to go home? Oh, what do I do? And they rely on that kind of like instant reaction. I got one from my daughter's school a couple of years ago that basically said, your daughter is not going to be allowed to go on this. It was very nicely done. It had the name of her school. It had her name. It had, it was from the president of her school. So obviously they'd been hacked. Or somebody had this information from somewhere, and I almost opened the file. It said your daughter is waiting. She can't board this bus for this field trip until you've signed this form. Please sign the following form and get it back to us ASAP. And I almost clicked it. I just was reaching to click it because I'm like, what? And I thought they would never send this to me. They would send it to my wife. But what if they'd send it to my wife and she'd be like, click, not because she's stupid, but just because she would be like, oh, I don't want my daughter to be stranded on the side of the road somewhere. And they say, well, get an Uber and go home. So, that kind of thing. And that's what they count on. So just to wrap this up, because I don't want these to be long, think about that. This is an interesting story. What does it mean? Well, it means we've got problems. It means we have to assume that employees are going to click these links, that students are going to click these links, parents are going to click these links, and once you open this file, you're going to get infected with TrickBot, and because your computer's connected to other computers and can talk to other computers, these things can spread. So these ransomwares will spread across your company very quickly. And lock up all your machine. And so, like, even here you see Lazarus Group, which is North Korea, basically targeting admins at a cryptocurrency firm because, you go after the money. So there's an interesting read here. If you are interested in such things, I'll put a link to the story. And I have a fun week at school. See ya.